Hi everybody, I'm Larry Hamilton. Welcome to my YouTube painting channel. It's now 1 o'clock and time to start our oil painting class today. I want to show you the photograph. I've had it up here for the last several minutes anyway, and have been letting you see it, at least with the grid over it. It's called Edge of Winter, and it's a photo that I received from a friend I've become acquainted with in Missoula, Montana. His name is Patrick Clark. He and Mark Masenko both take photographs, and they share a website called Western Montana on Facebook. And so they have some very beautiful photos of an area of the country that I really like. And so Patrick has given me the okay to paint his photos, and so I'm going to do that here today. I'm going to modify it slightly. Let me show you the original photo here. And it's mostly about the water and ice, and I thought this would be a good challenge for me, for sure, and for you hopefully, to see how we can paint a stream that's covered in a lot of half ice and half water, with mountains in the background, a lot of reflectivity. So that's what we're going to work on today. Hope I can do it justice. I cropped his original photo slightly to get it to fit my 11 by 14 inch canvas size format, which I typically do. It's the easiest for my cameras and for my recording. So now you see the photo here that that we're using as a reference, and it does fit the 11 by 14 format nicely, and I have a grid. So this is what you have been looking at if you tuned in a little bit before 1 o'clock to see the grid. It's a 5 by 4 grid, which fits nicely on 11 by 14 canvas. And so I have used that and done a sketch from it. And I'll show you that here. The sketch will be on my website when I put the final video up. You will be able to see the streaming video after the class. You can go back and watch it. But this will be will be on my website. The other thing I always do is I create a value map. And the value map is basically 3 values: light, mid value, and dark value. And most times the sky has one value, in landscapes at least, the sky has one value, the vertical objects have another value, and the foreground has a third value. And you can kind of mix and match these. You can get like 6 different combinations with these values. And I thought I would take a couple minutes here in the beginning to show you how I do this. I'm going to try using my desktop presenter with my broadcasting software. I haven't done this before, but I think you should be able to see it. And it shows my whole desktop, but I'm going to minimize my broadcast software here and let you see the what I have here is Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop. So I've taken the original photo and I read it in to Adobe Photoshop, and this is what I get. So in Photoshop, if you don't know, it works in layers. So I always take the photo, read it in, and then I go up here to the top and I pick layer, and I make a layer, I make background from the layer. So it becomes a layer as opposed to just a background image. Then the second step is I make another new layer, and I put a second layer on top of it, and that's the layer that I draw my my value map on. So when you see this, I want to get this out of the way. Okay, so when you see this in Photoshop, I'll make the whole screen look at it. So I put a second layer over it. I have the second layer blinded out so you can't see it, have it invisible right now. But what I do is I put the second layer over, and I'll reduce the opacity so you can see. I see it, you see it here, and then I use I have a little graphics pad attached to my computer, and I will come in and draw lines on it, and then I fill it in with the different values that I want. So you can see here lightly some of the lines that were on the sketch before I filled it in. I painted it in with Photoshop. So I really wanted to have this nice dark area on the left side, and it's reflected down here on the ice, as well as some dark in the background, and then a little middle ground has some different values, and the sky is a lighter value. So as you see it, this is how I create my value map. Then when I get the value map created, I just print it out. I use the print program, and I print this out as an image. So I have a photograph that I put on the top right side of my easel, and then I put the original photo that you see here on the left side of my easel. So when you see my easel, I always have a photograph on the top left, that if I'm using a photograph, which most of the time I do, and then on the right side I have this value map that kind of guides me to how I want to keep these spaces, these various photographic masses, if you want to call them masses, or just basically groups of objects, and how I keep them in perspective. So that being said, I want to come back to my still sharing my if I can find my, there we go. All right, come back to me now. So I'm trying to run my broadcasting software as well as the tell you what's going on. So anyway, that is how I get those. If you have Photoshop, that works well. If you don't have Photoshop, there's another program that's free called GIMP, G-I-M-P. The website's called gimp.org, and you can download this. It's very much like a Photoshop look-alike. It's open software, and it's available freely. It takes a little bit of time to learn it, like you would take time to learn Photoshop as well, but you can do just about everything with GIMP that you can do with Photoshop. So if you're interested in that, you might want to try that. I don't know if you follow my method of making these value maps, but they're very valuable in terms of keeping at least keeping your values close to consistent, and the way you would like to have a nice painting come out. And it has, since I create these nice abstract shapes, you can always see it makes a more pleasing painting. Plus it gives you a way to connect some of your darks together and to connect your mid values and lights. So I think with that said, I'm going to stop with my little lecture, description of how I use Photoshop to create my photos for my painting process. And I think I'm going to head over to the easel, and I'll pick it up over there when I get to the easel. You'll see my easel here with the photograph on the top left side and the value map on the top right side. Again, this photo is courtesy of Patrick Clark. His website is patrickclark.com, and you can look him up on the internet. He also has a Facebook page, and he shares a Western Montana Facebook page with Mark Masenko, which I painted a barn of his a couple months ago, I believe it was. So please check those guys out, and if you get on their website, send them a message, thank them for letting me use their paintings or their photographs for my videos. So let me go move over to the easel now, and I will turn up here and say welcome you again. I always like to make sure I say my welcome message both when I'm setting up my computer and when I'm standing here, because sometimes I cut the front end off and I don't put all this preliminary stuff on. So what I do is I make sure that I have a sound click at the beginning of my video, so I have an easier editing time. So I always usually start out my videos here when I'm standing at the easel, and I say 3, 2, 1, go, and I make a click. That actually gives me the ability to synchronize 3 video tracks from 3 cameras when I'm doing my editing. So anyway, I've done that, and I may put that in, I may not put it in. If I leave the unedited video on YouTube as it's been streamed right now, you'll see all of this. Otherwise, I'll cut some of it out. All right, so typically I want to go through my paints, and I want to go through my brushes with you. And I have here my standard brushes, or standard paints from Bob Ross. I'll go around the palette very quickly. Titanium white, phthalo blue, Prussian blue, midnight black, Van Dyke Brown, Dark Sienna, Alizarin Crimson, Sap Green, Cadmium Yellow, Yellow Ochre, Indian Yellow, and Bright Red. Those are all Bob Ross colors. I add one color here called Ultramarine Violet from Grumbacher. Okay, the brushes, I go through these again with you. They're my set I've been using most recently. I have a set of Trekkel brushes. I have, these are Filberts. I have a number 16, a number 10, a number 6, and number 2. I have 3 flats here, number 12, 4, and a 0 for some of the real fine, small stuff. Still have some of my Bob Ross brushes I use. I have a fan brush here that I use. I have a rigger. And I have 2 blending brushes. Actually, this is the same brush, if you can see that. The brush here on in my right hand, that thing is about 10 years old. The one on the left is about 3. So you see how using them and using the method that Bob Ross uses to pound on the canvas, you break a lot of the bristles off. So I have ground down my old brush here quite a bit by almost a ½ inch compared to a newer brush. But they still last. They last very long. I got a little too much paint in this brush in the back, but I use it to put in some of my backgrounds with, and I use that very often. I just realized I didn't get out some of my Liquin here that I like to use to sort of thin my paints down with. I'll see if I can get a little bit out here and put it on a paper plate. It helps the paint go on smoother. It also speeds drying time a little bit. Bob Ross uses liquid white a lot, and liquid white slows down the drying time. You probably heard me say that. It takes longer for the paint to dry, but Liquin will help speed it up a little bit. So let me get my brushes off of here, and we'll get started on this. I'm also going to put my palette in the corner so it's there and you can see it. And got my paints, got my brushes. You saw the sketch. Let me zoom in on this thing a little bit so you can at least see the what's on my canvas. Take that off for a minute. And it's hard to see that sketch. That's why I showed it to you a minute ago online when I was over at my computer. It's hard for you to see because I do have gray gesso on the back on my canvas here. I always put a coating of gray gesso on before I put a sketch on. And my sketch, I either do it with white, charcoal white pencil, like this, or I use Seurat transfer paper that comes in a white color. So in this case, I made the sketch on tracing paper and put it on with the Seurat white background. One more thing about the streaming here. If you have a question for me, please type it in caps. I have another computer up here by my easel that I monitor your chat, and I can talk back to you there, but at least if I can see a question, I'll try to answer it for everyone's benefit. Okay, let me put my palette back on here. We're going to start. See, I got my Liquin out while I was talking to you there, and that will give me a little bit of spreadability in the paint. I'm going to start here in the sky. We're going to start a sort of some gray and some white. The sky in this painting is just about non-existent. It's really not much to it. It's really just a small section up here in the top. There is some nice color in it over here on the left side, but it's kind of behind the trees. So I'll put that in. We got some mountains back here in the distance that are very small. But this photograph is covering miles and miles of distance here. This is, you got this up close creek, and I asked Patrick what the name of this creek was, and I haven't heard back from him yet on that, but he's in Missoula, Montana, so many of his photos are in that area. I expect This is probably in the Missoula area somewhere. Put a little of this violet in there. More violet, and there we go. I like to get to Montana as often as I can. Sometimes we get there once a year, sometimes we go more than once a year. Nevertheless, it's a fun place to go. If you've never been to Glacier National Park, I think it's one of the coolest national parks we got going. You can get to it from Kalispell. Missoula's a little bit further away, but it's got some very scenic, beautiful spots. Connects with Canada. If you want to go into Canada, you can actually go that way and come that way from Canada if you want. I'm going to put a little bit of light yellow in the sky back here because I want to indicate there's a little bit of color in that sky back there behind these trees. There is some light, so I'm picking up some of my ochres, a little bit of my red, white, and back in this area we got sort of a nice little orangey peach color like back here in the sky. It sort of kind of blends and merges in with this area. That's all the sky there is. I mean, actually this is more sky than it actually shows because of the trees I'm going to put over that sky right now. But so I made a little peachy color out of some ochre, a very small touch of bright red, and a bunch of white. So I just kind of put that in here. And then I'm going to come back to my other brush and come back and fill in the top of that with some of my violet, ultramarine violet, and white back in here. That's too much white. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right, so I've got a nice little mixture of some clouds back there and some areas that I'll make sure that canvas is covered back here. So it's just a very small sky, not much going on. There are some clouds and things in there you can see in areas over here a little bit. Clouds kind of come over this way a little bit. Let me zoom that out just a fraction. Maybe you can see the top of it. Sometimes I get it in too far and I realize that you can't see that very well. So I'm just putting in a few clouds here. I do have a monitor here behind me, so once in a while you may see me turn around and look off to my right. I have a computer monitor that's plugged into the outgoing video stream, and you should be able to see that. Okay. It's partially threatening sky, but it's got some light in the background there, and I think that's all I want to do with that. Leave it that way, and I'll come back now and start putting in some of these trees and some of the mountains, or the mountains in the distance. Pick up a little blue, some of my blues, phthalo blue, my blacks, a little bit of this violet, and get some mountain color here that's darker than the sky. It's got to be darker than the sky, or you're not going to be able to see it. So it's back in here. Like this. It does sort of come over here a little bit. You see traces of it back behind these trees back here. It comes all the way over, actually. Comes a little further left. I've sort of painted over where it comes to, but I will fix that right now. Okay, they're so far in the distance, they're really not much to them. But you want to see if it can make them come from something darker than the sky and get a little darker as they come forward. I'm mixing a little bit of my Van Dyke brown and black in there now to get up just a little darker here. And they do have some snow on them back there. There's actually, I think this goes up this way. And that's a little better. Yeah. How well you can see that. It may not be dark enough. Sometimes I make my colors darker than they need to be just so you can see them on the video. I'll put some trees over that, so I'm not too worried about that. So I'm kind of making this a grayish color with a little brown in it. Bring it over here, show some of it here. I'm going to put trees over those. A little more blue in that maybe as it sort of comes forward a little bit. We'll pick up a little of this blue. Phthalo blue is a very potent color, folks. If you have that color and put it in anything, it just starts eating that color alive. Okay, so I've got those. I'm going to pull those over a little more to the left. I want them to go behind these trees back here some. I'm going to put trees over it. Like that. They do come pretty far over. It's in the background. I may paint that all out. I don't know, but I'll put it in there to start with, and then if I paint it out, it's no big deal. But if I don't have it there, then I have blank canvas. Don't like that. All right, now, a little darker in some areas here. I'm going to throw in some snow on top of that to sort of define it just a little better. But it gives, because those mountains are so small, they give you the appearance that they're really way off in the distance, which they are. I'm going to get my small brush here, this little number 4 flat, and see if I can put in some snow back here in some areas, help kind of define these mountains a little bit. Like this. Yeah, just a little bit, very, very lightly. I'm not putting pure white on this, you notice. This is a white that has a little bit of that pink in it that I created. Over here, this side, I've created that pinkish color. So I'm sort of reflecting that over here in some areas and making it look like we've got snow coming down and in the valleys here. Something like that. It's helping define those mountains better because you're able to put in some nice differentiation of color, of value, but the mountain itself is dark enough to contrast against the back. So you have something that looks like it's coming forward, and that's what I want. I think the real challenge here is going to be this ice and stuff in the foreground. It's all a lot of different colors in it, so we've painted mountains before, so I'm going to just sort of leave that alone, so make sure it's not overly bright in any areas, any particular area. Now, there are a couple of little buildings out there that are hard to see. Probably didn't even notice them on the sketch. There's a couple of buildings back here that have roofs on them. Can't even see that probably. Up close I can see that. You may not be able to see that very well. But I know they're there. I know there's some buildings that are back there. I don't know if they're barns or houses or what they are, but something back there that's got a nice view of this river, it looks like to me. Very small, so that helps with the scale a little bit of making people see how far this is away. Okay, just a couple little things like that. Okay, that's good. All right, now, I haven't washed out any of my brushes. I think it's time to change a little bit. There is an area here. There's snow. This is snow, trees. This particular area here has got water in it, got some blue in it. I'm going to see if, well, I've got my sort of my blues in the brushes here, if I can put some of that in right now. Take a little bit of my thinning agent here and paint some of that in. It's reflecting the sky right in here. Needs to have a little more purple in it, I think, or violet. We're going to have, this goes all the way over, let's see here, comes around like this. So that's some of the water part of this painting. It's going to look goofy until I put something in front of it and make it more attached to everything else, but we'll be putting in some vertical streaks in here, maybe some more of this white, and sort of bring it down here. It's reflecting some of those clouds in the sky, so I want to use those colors in here. So water basically doesn't, I just noticed I have a missing line on my where this ice connects to the water. So that's part of the creek that goes back, and I'll be touching that up more and more here as we go forward. But let me stop with that now, and just want to get that in while I had some of this blue color in my brush. There's, matter of fact, I'm going to use the same color over here on the left side. Right in here we've got sort of this is combination ice and snow here right on the edge. While I have that in, I'm going to go ahead and put some of that in here. So this thing, when you look at the number of square inches that we're using for water and ice, this thing is 2/3 water and ice and 1/3 mountains, background, trees, and sky. So just touch that up a little more here. Put a little more of that violet in it. And as we come down, we've got more of that blue coming down in this area. I'm just sort of painting in what I see here from the photograph. I want to try to make sure I have these colors a place reserved in this foreground for these colors right in here, because I'm going to be painting trees over them, and I want the light color to go in first. So you can see that those colors in here, they're sort of like that. Now this is going to look kind of goofy to you. It's going to get its ugly stage here. Most paintings get to that point where they have the uglies. And somebody asked me the other day if I didn't beat my brushes. I do have a container here that's got my thinner in it, and I do beat my brushes on the edge of that, similar to what Bob Ross used to do. He used to make a big deal out of it. I just sort of bang them off the side of my coffee can here. I'm mixing up a little bit of this light sky color again that was up there in the top, and I want to put some of that in. I want to show a little bit of that color, this sort of pinkish peach color, if I can get it back, if I can get that color back. In this area here, we've got some peach color that sort of sets in here and reflects the sky. So I'm just sort of painting in some of this area that I know I want to reserve places in this ice for this color to be reflecting the sky. So putting that over here, it actually runs way over here like this. Goes up there like that. Probably looks really goofy to you right now, but I'm sort of trying to get these colors in place so I know where they are, where they go, and I got a lot of fine tuning to do as we go forward here, but I want to make sure I have them in place. Okay, come on, pink. It's a little bit too dark, maybe. So in this area, it's going to, even though it's going to be darker, I've got this light. I want this light to shine through. And it comes down here and goes over there. Anyway, that's pretty much what I want to do there. And now we can go back and so I can know where things are. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes with these sketches where things go. So that will do me for a while there. I'm going to go back now and start getting some of these darks, work on these trees that are coming up out of the bank here on the left side, and trees on the right. These trees are all, they're all lost their leaves for the most part. I don't even see any evergreens in there, and I know there are evergreens in that area, so I may put one or two in there just to break it up a little bit, but I'm going to use my browns, my alizarin crimson, and some white in there to give myself a couple of values, lighter values, darker values. So you can see my three colors here I'm pulling together: alizarin, dark sienna, and Van Dyke brown. And so in this area here, we've got some trees that actually go off the canvas back here. Go up like that. They're actually darker than that. So let me make them a little darker. Put in some trees like this by just using the side of the brush. There's some, a little bit of that violet back here, some trees that have a little bit of violet color in them. I just mixed that right on my brush. I still have a piece on that brush that I can kind of mix in and give myself some different colors there. Something like this. We got some other trees that pop up over here. Some are darker. Similar color. I'm going to use some of that same color over here for balance and for harmony. You just get that paint on one side of your brush and just push up. These have more red in them probably. I'll pick up more of my alizarin and white and pick up some more of this. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll see if I can do my best to answer. Put a few more dark ones in there. So I'm not painting with the brush at all. I'm just pushing up like that. You see the hundreds and hundreds of trees that I'm creating with just very simple brush strokes. There is a few that have a little bit of this bluish color. They're further back. Pick up another brush, a little flat here with some color in it. I should have put these in first, but I didn't think about it. They got to be darker than the sky, or you won't see them. See how my flat does back here. I don't know. Probably can't even see that. It's so light. Make them a little darker here. So I have those that are in the further back, and then I have a few in some other spots here. So the reason I'm doing that is it gives me more depth. It gives me another layer of paint, and every layer of paint that you can put on gives you more depth. So using this, these filberts make the nicest deciduous tree tops that have lost their leaves. And so I'm just sort of popping some of those in, give myself some change of color, change of value rather, and as I do that, I'm giving, you can see more and more trees show up. The value, anything that's darker should be toward the bottom if you can make it that way. This is probably not going to be as dark as my value map said, but anyway, that's kind of what I want to do there. Over here, put in a few more. I don't have any evergreens in there yet. I might want to pop a couple evergreens over the top of these here in a minute. Okay, so see how that contrast and that darker color here just makes that look all the more, have all the more depth, and have all the change of value that gives you that that look. That's pretty far off in the distance. Okay. Hello, Timothy McDougall. I see a mountain, he says. Well, I'm good. That's what I wanted you to see back there. That's a good start. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to pick up my fan brush now with some white in it. I'm going to start putting in some of this snow that's back in here. This thing sort of has snow that comes down to the water's edge. Just taking some white with whatever's in it, this color that's there, and sort of pulling up, putting in some. This fan brush is great for making these little things that look like grasses and that sort of thing that's growing out of the snow. Over here we have the same kind of thing going on. So I really am able to, little things like this just sort of add interesting textures back there that make you see there is definitely some snow sticking to these trees. Up here we've got some more coming down. About lost my logs. I'm going to have to come back and put my logs in on top of this, but that's okay. Now notice my brush strokes over here on the left side. I'm not painting vertical, I'm painting at an angle, the way the land flows. If you've heard Bob Ross, he'll say, paint the way the land lays. So if the land is angled down toward this creek, that's the way your brush strokes should go. If this angle over here is not as steep, you make them a little flatter, and then make them come down. Okay, so it's all, the brush strokes help tell the story as much as the object you're painting does. Now I'm going to pick up some of these blues here. Get a little more blue in my snow here over on this side. It's sort of in shadow a little bit. There is some of it has some light on it, but it is definitely in shadow over here. So I want to observe that. So far, so good. I'll cover up my canvas more since I need more paint here. I get lazy and stingy, I guess is what it is. Back here we got some things going on. Got a lot of little things growing out of the snow here. They have some of them have a bit of reddish color in them. Like that. This fan brush is great for that stuff. Over here, I want some more of that blue. It's kind of out of the light, so I'm gonna. Most of my snow has color in it. There's not much pure white going on here. Put some white in the highlights to show either the direction of the snow or to show something's laying under the snow maybe, but for the most part I've got a lot of color in this snow. And it sort of goes up this embankment over here on the left. See that? I hope. I'll have to put a little dark border on the bottom here where it connects with this other icy part of the creek. Get some more of these bushes in here. Doesn't take a lot of this, and too much of it can look contrived, but basically I want these to show you what's going on there. Okay, so we have a nice little painting just right there all by itself if I didn't do anything below it. Sometimes you get to the point and say, well, that's all I want to do. Maybe that's all my painting is. If you're not painting on a fixed canvas that's 12 by 14, you can do that. You can cut your canvas and remount it and be happy. But I don't have that situation. I'm going to have to fill this canvas out. Pick up a few of these little, there's some sort of yellowish orange colored bushes over here. Probably too bright, but we'll throw them in right here. And see the thing that happens if you aren't careful, I end up with not having that color on the left side. So I want to come back and make sure that I echo that color somewhere here on the left. Just a lot of sticks and debris and stuff like that growing here. I'm going to pick that same color up and put just a few spots over here on the left. So it looks like we're all part of the same family here. It's not, it's more in shade on this left side. So it's not going to be as obvious, but to show that it is a consistent landscape across here, that's what I'm doing that for. Okay, now hold off on the fan brush for just a minute. I'll clean it out anyway. Okay, underneath this snow on the right side, I just put those brushes in there. I'm going to come back and put some more snow in here now. It sort of comes down and starts making a beeline for the water. All these banks will be coming down into the water here. So I want to try to show that. Fan brush is great for this. So now you're seeing it's a little bit lighter and brighter on this right side. The white color is a little brighter than it is on the left side. That's by design. The sun is back here in the back, sort of coming from this way, so the sun would be hitting on this side over here more than it hits on this bank over here. So we're kind of being a bit true to reality. Pick up a few darks here. We got some more brush in the water. Got a bunch of logs laying here. These creeks in Montana, when the snow runs off of the mountains, they fill up these creeks and they just drag trees down, and a lot of the creeks are not as nice looking as this one is, just because they have so much debris in them. But it's good for fishermen who like to come out here and fish. I really like painting snow scenes. Okay, it's looking pretty good. How are we doing on time? Let me see here if I can find my clock again. I set a clock up. We've gone about 35, 36 minutes from the time I started working, and I want to stop back and take a look at this, see if my values are intact, see if if I'm accurately representing that photograph as much as possible. I think it's pretty close. The reflections that we're going to put in the water are going to tell you this is water, and I'm going to try to tell you this is ice over here, which is really the challenge of the day. Let me see, I want to take a little ochre and this brown color. I'm going to put in a couple pine trees here in the background. Use my good old trusty fan brush. Something like that. I hope you can see that. Yeah. Looks like I can see it on the... Got to be pine trees floating around here somewhere. I'm not using any green right now, folks. If I put that in, it'll just sort of cause more problems than it helps, I think. So I'm just putting in some trees, some things in the background. Put a couple over here on the right, maybe. In this area here. This fan brush is great for these kind of things. Ochres. So I'm just sort of putting another layer type of trees here in this woods. Okay, and then as usual, you can always come back here in these woods where you have some dark, use a palette knife and you can sort of scrape in some trees that are truly dead. Might be one or two over here, I don't know. It gives you a white trunk that you can see that basically says there's more back there than just brush strokes. I don't even know if you can see that very well, but it's always a nice trick to put some of those in the background. Okay, I have a few of these pine-looking trees. I think I'm just avoiding getting into this water. All right, I do have some fallen trees that are falling along. I'm going to get a smaller brush here. This is my number 2 flat. We have a bunch of dark things that kind of lay back here in the snow. We got snow on top of them and sort of kind of lay here. That might be broken, that one. got sort of a big one that lays like right in here. See if I can put him in. Darker at the bottom. They're actually laying in the ice or in the water. So it goes back this way. Flatten them out. There's some snow on top of that, but I think I want to make it darker yet here if I can. There's another little thing that comes this way. There's several logs and things back there that just sort of fill in this area. I haven't put in the rest of my trees in the background there yet either. Back here I've got tons of trees that need to be just sort of popped in here, different widths, different distances apart. Dark my blacks and my Van Dyke brown. Put some of these in, run them right off the top. Now's a good time to use my rigger because I need to have them a little thinner than this. I got some that are fairly fat. I got some that are sort of medium width, and now I want to have some that are really fine. I'm using my dip my rigger brush in liquid, and then I'm just sort of getting this very liquidy here as I put in these trees, more trees back here. So you're just seeing sort of the bottoms of these trees. They all go off the top of the canvas. Have a few crisscross in here like this. They're kind of falling maybe. So I could probably put a lot more in there that if I want to keep working on this. Over here on the left, put in some more small ones. So this rigger really gives you the fine lines that you need for some of these multiple trees back here. Put in a couple of dark things in here like this. There were a few trees. I don't know exactly what they are, but there's some dark flowing down here. Adding more of my darks along here to help define the bottom of this tree row and these other trees that are in the background here. Don't know if you can even see that. Let's see. Tim asked me if I can put the photo up. I do have the photo. I have to go back to my computer. If you'll give me a second and show you. I don't think you were here when we started, Tim, maybe. I'll pop it on here for a few seconds and let you look at that. I can't do the same thing I do when I edit it after the fact. I have to overlay it in my video editor when I do that. But I'll let you take a look at it for a few seconds and get an idea of what we're painting here, in case you forgot. I do, when I start these broadcasts, I do usually put the photograph up about 15 minutes ahead of time so I can, one, check out my streaming and to make sure that everything's streaming, the audio's working and all of that. And then also, so you can get a look at it if you want to paint along with me. I don't know how many of you do that, but certainly try to put it out there for you so you can have it. Okay, came back and did a few brush strokes. Let me go back to my come back to my there we go. All right, you should see that now. I'm still using my rigger and sort of flicking in some other dark things here on the left side that help sort of identify it. Myself a little shadows here and there I didn't have before. Okay. Get my brushes cleaned out a little bit. I just dropped my rigger all over the place. Get a second to clean up after myself here. Okay. All right. I'm gonna take my rigger again now and come back and get a little bit of this white. While I've got on top of this couple of these logs, there's definitely some white snow that's standing out. See if I can put a little bit here. There, a little bit here. Not a lot, but just enough to let you see that that is definitely an object like a log or part of a tree. We got some tree things laying over here, a few of them. Other little items of debris over there. Put a little snow on top. Okay, and then the thing I need to do is sort of punch in a sort of a bank along here so you can actually see there's a distinction between the snow and the ice. I'm just sort of putting this in. I'm going to come back with my fan brush and sort of tie that together. Look at that. I get a little more of my white paint that's kind of thinned down. Sort of just, now I want to sort of pull up on it here and sort of connect these things to the, certainly connect them to the land. See how that just gives a little bit of a touch there that shows there's little highlights of snow that are maybe sticking up. They're catching more light than some of the other parts of the snow. And then as we come down into the ice, snow and ice on the left side, it starts getting more sort of this way. I'm making these strokes go the way the ice lays, right? So because of the way I'm moving the brush, I'm telling you now this is a lot flatter than what's behind it there. So the brush strokes make a lot of difference, folks. You gotta over here we've got a similar situation over here, except I have a lot of reflection coming down on the water over there. This on the left side, it starts getting darker and getting more of the color of the trees up here as we start coming down. I'm putting in streaks that start telling you this is sort of icy maybe, hopefully. keeping mixing up these colors. I want the sky to show through. I'm going to be putting in a whole bunch of vertical reflections here on the ice as well. Okay, hopefully that's starting to give you a feel of some ice out here maybe, I don't know. See how that just, I'm pulling back now, I'm just sort of putting the brush in and pulling back. Using some white with whatever other colors I've got in it. Getting close to painting underneath my palette for the streaming video here. I want to pull that away in a second, but I want to pull some of these other pink and other colors into this ice. Okay. Fan brush is a wonderful tool here. Let me see, I'm going to move my palette now to the upper right corner. No, I'm going to leave it on the upper left corner. Pretty well finished with that corner, so I'll leave it over there. I just remember where it is my challenge usually. Trying to remember what I'm streaming to you guys. See down here, picking up more grays and some of the blues. This is just a lot of canvas to cover down here. It's got has a lot of the gray and colors in it. I'm going to try to see if I can get these spots of frozen ice after a bit. I'm going to try to use my stipple effect that Bob Ross also is made known for when he stabs the canvas. It's called stippling. I think I need a bigger brush here that's got more oomph. So we're making pretty good time. We're gone 53 minutes by my clock here. I gotta have this peach color. I keep losing my peach color here. There's a lot of white in it, a little bit of red, a little bit of the yellows. In here, needs more white. A little more yellow. Nope, one more red. So what I'm really describing here is the clouds that are reflecting into this on this ice. And it's sort of becoming an underpainting color. I'm going to go over it with some trees and more reflections. Peachy color has to have a little more red in it here. And see, you could buy a tube of paint probably that's called peach, and wouldn't have to mess around trying to mix it like I am, but if I bought every color that I needed to paint with, I'd have so many tubes I couldn't fit them on my palette. So I'm just sort of finishing this off down here, trying to cover the canvas with as much paint as I can. This big number 16 Filbert's a good brush for that. Okay, so this is all now supposed to be ice. All of this here is supposed to be ice, this big chunk of canvas. So we don't want to have it look like just one big white slab. We want it to have a lot of variation in it and a lot of texture. So that's going to be my challenge here, to see if I can do that for you. I think I want it darker here on the left. I'm going to pick up a little of my Midnight Black. Midnight Black, when you mix it with white, sort of has a sort of a bluish consistency. So I want this corner dark, and I think I'm going to make my other corner just a little darker over here. A lot of artists use this trick of making your corners generally dark. It kind of focuses the viewer's attention into the painting. See, I've got some depth going on here. I got directing you back toward the middle ground and background. The dark corners help even do that more. Okay, let's see here. Let's see if I can continue my method here of painting this snow in. So this is icy water. So if I want to sort of model these clouds a little bit, I have to put some other colors in there to help it along. I even want to come back and pick up some of this blue that I've got. And pop in some spots in here that also reflect the sky. Even though my sky is not quite as blue as that photograph, I want to make it sort of this ultramarine violet color when it's reflecting the sky in my painting, because I made it that color back here in the back. Okay, so along that edge of the snow, we definitely have some a little bit darker shadow. I don't know if I can even make that work here. Started hitting and missing. I'll tell you, that's sort of an ice bank here. Probably too much. Let me get my fan brush again. I'm going to come back now with some of this white and see if I can pull it back just a little. So I'm trying to make a line that's not overly curved. I don't want your eye to swoop down here and off the painting. So I'm adding some colors to it. There is some, I just noticed, some things here that I want to put in. Well, I got this brush like right in here. There's a area that's just got some, whoops, I'm underneath my, I just painted underneath my palette. Right here is where I was painting. There's a little section that goes like this. Then we actually start seeing some of the trees coming down here. I got this more Yellow and orange color coming down over here. You've heard me say it before, but what makes this look like water and not ice over here? Anybody guess? Question of the day. What am I doing with the brush? I'm painting vertical strokes. You paint that over an area like this and it starts looking like water. So I'm just giving it that, some of those colors that are in the sky and in the, if you remember how Bob Ross used to do it, he always came back and then would put a nice horizontal swoop across there with his big brush and just blur them slightly. I may or may not be able to have to do that, but I'll probably do it just to show you what I'm talking about. So okay, back here we got some things going on where it's changing from snow or ice to water. Back here. All right, now I'll take my 1-inch blender and a paper towel and just sort of give it that sort of a swoop. Doesn't take much, but just those horizontal movements, just blur that enough to make it look like it's water there. And hopefully what I have here is on the left is the makes it look like ice, or at least snow anyway. Whoops, I've got getting my, there's where I want that. Okay, pretty close. I don't have the exact colors, but that's okay. Now I want to put in some of these dark reflections now coming down into this ice. So let's go back and get some of our browns and reds. I'm using my big filbert again. I'm going to just come in here and start these things sort of I'm under my so what I'm streaming to you, I'm probably going to overlay it with another video just so that we don't have the palette being painted under here. Very dark in some areas, very come back and use my rigger and do the same kind of stuff here that I did in the top to give you some. We got a little shadow that comes back this way from that log. Tie into that. even a little shadow that comes from that guy, I don't know. Okay, so I've got a good mixture of brush strokes here. Some dark, some. I'll make sure I don't leave the excuse me, leave the top of the filbert brush in there. All right, let's lay that down. Let's go back and get our little rigger here, script liner. Get some dark in there. I have not used sap green. I haven't used cad yellow in this painting. Used very little of my phthalo blue, very little Prussian blue. Even though there's a lot of blue in this painting. Back and get some of this lighter reddish color. There are some indications of brush and stuff there of, not brush, but I guess you'd call it too much. Leaves or branches or something that's on the top of these things. It's kind of reflecting down here. That's really off the top of the canvas. You can't quite see it. It sort of gives some definition to the trees. I don't know if that helps or not. Something like that that's giving me that idea that we've got a kind of looking through the trees to see the sky, and we're seeing the that type of thing. Looks like it could be mirroring that pretty well. All right, let's hold on that. I think I've got some interesting little shapes on this ice. I'll step back and make sure I'm getting everything in. I think I missed a tree or two here in the background, or middle ground, I guess I would call it. Like in this area here, there's a couple of trees or something kind of growing out of by the bottom of the water here. Just a few interesting touches. There's tons of little branches and stuff studying in here that I could paint for maybe another half hour on this thing and put in way too much detail. But I want to sort of be as accurate to Patrick's photo as I can. Over here there's a that's pretty good, I think. I'll let it go with that. Maybe touch it up with the thing I was going to get to. There's two things I want to do yet on this painting, and that's I want to put in some marks in this ice that show some of the cracks in the ice. See if I can do that with my script liner here. And I'm going to use a good bit of this white with whatever I've got in it here. It's not pure white, but it's going to be whiter than what's on the canvas there, I hope. There's areas where this ice is sort of cracked. At least it looks like a crack to me. So something like that. I'm making these are probably too big of marks. But I'm gonna then come back and put a little bit of this shadow color under it pick up a little bit of my grayish violet here. I think I just overstepped you again. They actually have a little shadow. It's darker than that. There are either cracks in the ice or there are little places where snow has built up. First thought they were cracks, but they could be about anything. It just helps fill in this area over here so we don't have so much just pure canvas with not much going on. A little darker maybe. All right, something like that. Now, the real test is going to be the thing I thought about when I first started this is how am I going to do this stippling effect to make these spots of ice. I don't know if you can see them that well. Let me step back here to my computer real quickly and show you once again what I'm talking about. At the bottom left of that photograph, you see all these little white specks. I think that's where the ice has been frozen, and it's just like maybe little snow things have caught on that ice, and it's making it look like the only way to do it, to me, is to stipple it. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to get my big Bob Ross blending brush and see if I can practice my stippling effects here. I think I want it thicker, so I'm not going to put much thinner in. I don't want to have I don't want it thinned down. I want these bristles to everyone be a little paintbrush. And that's what the stippling does for you. When you touch it on there, they just sort of become little paintbrushes. So we'll see how if I've got too much paint in there, I don't know. I may ruin it now, folks, but we're going to just try to stipple in some things that look like I'm getting, yeah, let's try this, like this, there, like maybe something like that. Using the side of the brush instead of the stippling, you punch it like that, you punch on top of it. I'm just sort of tapping to pick it up off the sides of this brush here and getting just a little of that texture that I want in there that looks like ice. Put some over here. Hitting the bottom of my Yeah, so it could be snow that's sort of collected here. It could be little things of ice. Oh, that's close. That's not exactly perfect, but I think we can call that a painting, maybe. Where else have I got that? I don't know if it would help in here anywhere. Probably not. Put in some horizontal streaks here to help tell the story of that. Over here, maybe even some horizontal streaks. I'm just using the white that's on this brush to give my some things in the water that help change that a little bit. Okay, I think, folks, I might just call that finished. Hi, Laura. Sorry you didn't tune in earlier. I see you put a note there. You didn't know about it sooner. If you're subscribed to my channel, you will get an email at least 2 days ahead of time when I'm going to broadcast, and 1 day ahead of the broadcast, and 1 hour ahead of the broadcast, and when I'm live. At least that's what's supposed to happen, since I can't act as a non-subscriber. I don't know what you actually see as a non-subscriber. But also, you just put on your calendar, if you want, the third Wednesday of every month, I plan to be doing an oil painting at 1 o'clock. Third Wednesday. Fourth Wednesday, I plan to be doing a watercolor. So, if you want to get onto my schedule, just remember that, and remember that if it's the third Wednesday, I'll be painting at 1 o'clock, and if it's the fourth Wednesday, I'll be painting at 1 o'clock. Oils on the third Wednesday and watercolors on the fourth. So that's kind of my schedule. If I can't make it, I'll usually I'll put a note on my channel. Again, if you're a subscriber, you should get any note that I put and broadcast to the public. If you are not a subscriber, I don't think you'll get anything. But anyway, that's the way YouTube works, and I kind of have to work with them on that. I'm going to see if I can put my signature on this little thing right now. Get myself my ultraviolet here, and block print my name right in here. Get a little more paint. A little more than that. I get darker, I can't even see it myself. Okay, maybe you can see that, maybe you can't. I don't want it to stand out to the point where it's so obvious. Bob Ross used to always put his in big bright red, and it sort of just always stuck out the bottom of the painting and didn't necessarily fit with the color scheme or whatever. I usually try to make mine fit, so you have to look at it closely to see if I even signed it. Okay, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to do. Let me fine-tune some of this up here. It's a little bit too close to the brush strokes. I don't like to see those. Little finger painting here, folks. Don't like to see those filbert brush strokes here, particularly when I'm trying to make something look like a shadow. Okay. All right. Let me zoom back here and say thank you for watching. I'm glad you tuned in today. And remember my schedule, 3rd Wednesday of every month at 1 o'clock and 4th Wednesday of every month at 1 o'clock. Oil painting first, watercolor second. And I'll try to do that as long as I'm able. I don't have conflicts with family issues or doctor's appointments or whatever. Please check out patrickclark.com. He's the photographer that took this photo and let me share it with you today. He also has a Facebook page, and two photographers in Missoula, Montana, Mark Masenko and Patrick Clark, both have let me paint their photos, and they really don't want anything for them. I think I'm going to send Patrick a print of one of these photos or one of these paintings. But anyway, please check them out. Check out my Facebook page. Check out my website. The sketch for this particular painting will be on the website by the time I upload it to YouTube. And until I see you again, I think that's all I want to say today. So long for now. Thanks for watching.